everybody, and welcome into today's episode of Around the Slice. I am so excited to be here today because this episode is officially kicking off our 2025 Buffalo Bills content here on Around the Slice. Today's episode is going to be fun. As I promised late last week with my season review episode, today we're going to go through the Bills' internal free agents, restricted, unrestricted, exclusive rights free agents, and go through all those gymnastics and logistics of who we should re-sign, who we should not re-sign, who we should bring back, who should let walk, what contract I will give them, some projected contracts and some cap sites. It's really, really fun. So without further ado, let's get into it. For this exercise, I consulted spottrack.com, which, by the way, is by far the best cap and contract website / resource out there. I encourage you, if you're into the offseason, if you're into team building, team construction, contracts and whatnot, like nerdy stuff like that with football like I am, I very encourage you to go there. I'll link the website down below. It's a very helpful tool, and I use it every single offseason for the past 5 or 6 years, give or take handful of years. It's been awesome. So without further ado, let's get into it. By the way, guys, when I say these positions, they're not in position order. They're really not even in order of importance or like any logistical things at all or any significant order. It's just how they're listed on Spot Track. So, when I say this first one, this will be how all our free agents. There's 12 unrestricted free agents here for the Bills, and then one restricted free agent, one exclusive rights free agent. I'll get into those dynamics with those last two and what that means when we get to it in a while here, later in the episode, obviously. So first, Amari Cooper, wide receiver, Buffalo Bills. This is a difficult conversation for a lot of people, and me too. It's a lot of logistical things going into it, a lot of age factors going into it, and talent factors and whatnot. So, he is 31 years old. And by the way, guys, when I say the age, it's not their current age right now. I mean, it might be, but if they turn, say they're 30 right now and turn 31 in the summer, like Amari Cooper does, then that's going to be the age I listed. For example, Amari Cooper's 30 right now, turns 31 in June, I believe it is. So when I say their age, that's their age at the start of the 2025 regular season. So this is their age by September 4th, 2025 is what I mean to say. So Amari Cooper, wide receiver Amari Cooper, 31 years old. Obviously, we know who Amari Cooper is. We traded from him from the Cleveland Browns for a third-round pick in the 2024 NFL trade deadline this past year in October. His previous AAV, I really love that Spot Track. Again, phenomenal resource. I really love that Spot Track added this cool new feature of you can see their previous AAV. You can see how much they made per year in their previous contract for a reference point. I think that's really cool and useful information for a reference point. So his previous AAV on his previous contract was $20 million per year. Obviously, he's going to get nowhere near that. This free agency, Bills or otherwise. Spot Check salary projection. I really like how they project contracts so you can see in terms of what they would make million per year. That's really helpful to me. So they have him making $14.2 million per year projected on Spot Track right now. That's, I think, for my taste personally, a tad bit too high. You'll see a couple other, one specific egregious one. I won't spoil it now, but some foreshadowing. You'll see a little tease, if you will, another egregious one in a minute here. But 14.2 million, it's a tad million, give or take, either way. Too kind of rash and expensive for me, but it's not really like anything egregious. So there's that. What I want, I'm also going to go through what I want and then a prediction. So what I want, and then predictively what Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane and his scouting staff, free agency and stuff do. That's my predictive statement. Some are the same, some are different. What I want to bring him back. I want to see how he assimilates with Josh Allen in a full offseason, a full training camp, a full training regimen, full preseason, a full anything. Because if you remember when we traded for him great, scores that touchdown in first game with the Bills, and then proceeds to have a pretty significant wrist injury. It came out after the season that he was fighting through a wrist that needed pretty much surgery. So it was a fractured, broken wrist, and then he missed 2 games. So he was just never the same. People say Amari Cooper drop off in production. Yes, but he also provides double teams and opens up stuff underneath. I don't think the underneath some stuff came to full fruition, as I've talked about with Duncan Gay and Curtis Samuel. But let's see how full offseason. So what I personally want, bring him back. And predictably, I think Brandon Beane is thinking on the same wavelength as me, if you will. Obviously, he doesn't give a two craps about what I think, but I mean, I think he is thinking the same thing as me and a majority of other people are, that let's see how he does with full offseason. So what I want to bring him back, and predictably, I think he will be back. Now, $14.2 million, that's around, let's just round it down to 14 so we have solid numbers. That would be a 2-year 28. That's a little rich for me. How I would structure this, I would give Amari Cooper a 2-year, $26 million deal. So that's $13 million a year. Obviously, 26 divided by 2, 13 times 2. However you look at it, $13 million a year. 2-year, 26, 13 year. I would put a lot of incentive-laden stuff in the first year and front load that contract in the first year, and then have not much or have non-guaranteed second year in case you want to cut them in case the steep decline continues. The separation stuff is still concerning. So that's personally how I do it. 2 years, $26 million, 13 per year, a lot of incentives in year one, front load it into year one, if that makes sense. And then year 2, have it non-guaranteed and save cap space after year 1 in case you want to cut him or trade him. More like cut him, but that's how I do it personally. So that's just logistics with Amari Cooper, and that's how I'm going to structure all these free agents coming up. So next, speaking of that, Rasul Douglas, cornerback. I don't know what I was going to say, but Rasul Douglas, cornerback, 31 years old. His previous AAV with the Packers. So this was the contract he signed a few years ago, extension with the Packers. As we know, we traded for Rasul Douglas in 2023 trade deadline a year and a half ago. So he's been in the Bills about a year and a half now. He comes in, great playmaker. His first game at the Bills was against the Jets. He had 2 picks, 1 pick six, and then week 17 that year, or 18, give or take. I don't remember exactly. He had 2 picks, 1 pick six, and the Patriots as well. So he was a ball hawk through and through. I don't think he got a single interception this year. He got his hands on a couple, but he didn't come down with either of them. His previous AAV with the Packers' new extension, like I just mentioned, was $7 million. I think that's the ballpark we're looking at here. When I said, this is the thing I'm going to bring up, when I said a minute ago, talking about Amari Cooper, with like their spot check bucks being a tad, it wasn't egregious. This one's egregious. Their spot track AAV per year for Rasul Douglas is $11.9 million per year. He's out of his mind if he wants that. If he wants any double digits at all, thanks for your service for a year and a half. Goodbye. I say that because there are 2 positions on this roster that I think need to be just overhauled, youth movement, everything. D-line, I'm talking about defensive interior / defensive tackle and defensive end / pass rush all together. D-line and corner. Safety, maybe some upgrades. But overhauls, D-line and corner. This whole like re-signing Rasul Douglas to a double-digit per year contract for 2 or 3 years like makes no freaking sense in the world. It would contradict everything you put out there last year. Like you cut Trey White, you cut Micah Hyde, you cut Jordan Poyer. Like those players weren't in their prime anymore, and you clearly wanted a youth movement, especially all those 3 players being in the secondary players. Safeties with Poyer and Hyde, and then respectively, and then a corner with Trey White, respectively. Poor Trey White. Anyway, besides the point, that would contradict your whole like youth movement, get younger and cheaper philosophy. So like, thanks for a year and a half service, but goodbye. His previous AAV with the Packers, $7 million. That's tops. That's the max I'm willing to go. So, what I want personally, I'd let him walk. Like, youth movement, cheaper, whole philosophy from last year. And if you re-sign him for anything, like that would like be kind of I feel like, and then prediction, I think Brandon Beane wants a youth movement as well. Sean McDermott, Bobby Babich, I think they're like, hey, this guy's giving us a year and a half of good play, but the ball skills have gone down. The ball hawking ability has gone down, and he really slowed down. He wasn't overly dynamic and athletic, not even close to begin with, but at least he had ball skills. At least he had somewhat lockdown ability here and there. More than here and there. And like he got burned multiple times this year, especially in the playoffs. Chiefs, hello. And sorry, I was saying no ball hawk ability, and it just he really showed his age. So if he wants anything close to double digits, like goodbye. If he wants a 1 year, $6 million deal, awesome. But I think he's gonna want to pay double digits. So that's why I want to let him walk. In my prediction, predictively, I think Brandon Beane and company and staff respectively let him walk as well. I just don't see this would be contradicting your whole younger and cheaper philosophy within the last year or so. So it just doesn't make any feasible sense to really bring him back for anything close to that number. That's a really egregious, aggressive number from Spot Track. 11.6 million a year. Give me a freaking break. Anyway, then we get to a depth defensive tackle that I thought was really, really ordinary, even below average of the whole season. Austin Johnson, defensive tackle. He is 31 years old. His previous AAV, he's last year, I know he signed only a 1-year deal, so the AAV was only 1 year locked in. 1 year, $3.5 million. I don't think he's even worth that. I think he's a 1 year, $1.5, $2 million guy. He's a replacement level reserve, in my opinion. I don't know how much good depth play, if at all, he gives you. Spot Check salary projection is $1.7 million a year. So I'm kind of sick of these washed up veteran defensive tackles. Like, it's okay to have one or two like veteran defensive tackles north of 30 or over, give or take. But like, they have to actually be good. Like, they have to have somewhat meaningful play still. Like, you can't be giving snaps to washed up veterans like Austin Johnson and a couple others we'll talk about here. Spot Check salary projection of $1.7 million. I don't care how cheap that is. I personally want to let him walk. I just think, I just said with the corner group, you need to overhaul D-line, especially the defensive interior, because at least the edge group, besides Von Miller, is still like young and growing, although a couple of them hit their peaks here and there, give or take. But defensive interior, like, we got to phase out these old guys. I'm tired of these washed up veterans expecting something from them and giving them nothing. And then predictably, I think they have no desire to bring Austin Johnson back. Like, okay, cool. He batted on a couple passes and got a couple interceptions on screen passes at the line of scrimmage. Big freaking deal. He only played 25% of the snaps during the season, and I don't see how any value he brings at all. These depth pieces really got to be reshuffled and overhauled, in my opinion. Next defensive tackle, Jordan Phillips, 32 years old. Previous AAV was $1.2 million. Again, that was the Bills. We signed him right before the season started on cutdown day or whatever it was. Maybe a couple weeks into the season, even. I can't really remember. Oh, it was around the trade deadline. It was a couple days after the trade deadline because we didn't trade for a D lineman like I wanted them to. Previous AAV, $1.2 million, 1 year we locked in. Spot Check salary projection, same thing as Austin Johnson here, $1.7 million. Just like Austin Johnson, I want to let him walk, but predictably, I don't know why. I just have this bad feeling. Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott love Jordan Phillips. Every time they talk about the guy, they act like he's the best thing in the world. And I think they'll bring him back. It's okay. I want veterans, but like, I want to reshuffle this whole like depth situation. Other than Ed Alvin and Daquan Jones, and Dwayne Carter is a nice youth piece, but he hasn't really shown anything. He popped here and there, but for the most part, he was kind of rough this past season, give or take, around there. But, I mean, I want to let Jordan Phillips walk, but they'll bring him back. I have this really bad feeling that they love him. He said after the season, locker room clean-out day to the local Bills media, which all are phenomenal, by the way. Go check them all out. I met a couple of them. They're awesome. Anyway, besides the point, he said, I'm not going to retire, but I'll only play for this city. I'm not going to retire, I'll only play for this city. I'll only be a Buffalo Bill for life. And I think Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane are going to let that happen and honestly make that happen. Like, I don't care how cheap it is. I would let both Austin Johnson and Jordan Phillips walk. The difference is I think they love Jordan Phillips way more than me. The thing with Jordan Phillips is he's 340 pounds, and he's like, that's a girthy defensive tackle. That's a big hog modeling in the middle, 340 pounds. Like, stuff the run, right? No, he's pretty terrible against the run. I guess he's okay in Buffalo. He doesn't work out anywhere else with the Cardinals. Was he on the Dolphins? The Cardinals, the Dolphins. I don't know if this is in order, but the Dolphins, Cardinals, Giants, and Cowboys for the offseason. He just doesn't provide anything to any team. And I don't think he provides anything to the Bills, honestly, but for some reason, I think Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane do. So, unfortunately, I would let him walk, but unfortunately, predictably, I think they'll re-sign him. And we're bouncing around here to different positions. So, wide receiver Matt Collins, 31 years old. His previous AAV, this seems like a steal of a contract by $2 or $3 million, give or take, by now. But he signed a 1 year, $2.6 million deal last March in free agency. Little did we know how much he would contribute. Spot Check salary projection. I think they're actually a little, like a few million couple to a few million, give or take, too low here. Like their projection is 2.4 million. Well, I would take this year by year. I wouldn't sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal. Excuse me, rather, I should say. I would sign him to 1 year, take it year by year. There's a couple players I think like this. Jordan Phillips, if they want to bring him back. I already explained my piece on that, said my piece on that, but Austin Johnson, same thing, same concept, same everything. Matt Collins, if they think he signed a $2.5 million deal, I don't understand how it would go down after signing a 1 year, $2.6 million deal for last year. So what I want, bring him back, and particularly, I think he's absolutely back. So the negotiating period starts, if you don't know, noon Eastern, so 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern on Monday, March 10th, which that means players can reach verbal agreements with teams, and then the new league year starts 2 days later at 4 p.m. Eastern that evening / night, whatever time of day it is, you call it. The new league year starts and players can officially sign the dotted line, if you will, and sign contracts. I think by the first week of March, boom, Matt Collins is done. I'd give him 1 year, $3 million, 1 year, $4 million. I wouldn't go above $4 million because that doesn't make sense. I love Matt Collins. Like, he's a great fourth receiver, third receiver tops. But if he's your second best receiver behind Khalil Shakir, that speaks volumes to like how desperately you need like a ball winner on the outside, speedster separator that can blow the doors off the defense. Like I've pounded the table for and advocated for. I feel like during the season, after the season, last couple weeks, give or take, respectively on here. So yeah, Matt Collins, 1 year, $4 million sounds about right. I bet you like a week 4 free agency, boom, this is done. Matt Collins re-signed a 1 year, $4 million deal. Welcome back, Mac, with the whole post about welcome back, Matt Collins. I think he brings energy to the team, and he's not some big, huge goofball that doesn't produce. Like, he produces. Great red zone efficiency, great red zone target. So, like, predictably, I think he resigns. Like, I would be shocked if he goes anywhere outside. I don't know if he has this huge market that, like, oh my God, he's going to get overpaid. So, that's what I'm thinking with that. And then DeJuan Smoot, defensive end. I just want this defensive line overhauled. You'll see, like, there's a lot of same thing with these, like, older / veteran defensive tackles, older / veteran pass rushers. 30 years old, or I forgot to say the age for Matt Collins. I'm sorry, Matt Collins, 31 years old. But my points still stand about I don't think he'll even let him hit free agency. Defensive end / pass rusher, DeJuan Smoot, 30 years old. A lot of 30 or above guys, a lot of north of 30 guys here, which is kind of concerning. But again, that's why we're going through all the logistics here of like, you have to factor in age, contract, and all that stuff. Previous AAV for DeJuan Smoot, he signed a 1 year, $2.5 million deal. Like, I don't view DeJuan Smoot as anything more than a fourth or fifth, like, replacement level rotational guy. He has some good pass rush snaps here and there. It doesn't really give you anything against the run game. Spot Truck salary projection, $2.9 million a year. That's around like 400,000. I know that's not a big deal. 408 on 400,000 more than previous. Who cares? But in the NFL world, NFL contract standards, that's a big deal. So I don't know how his value would go up. What I want, again, I'd let him walk. Like almost all these D-line veterans, like Austin Johnson, Jordan Phillips, another defensive tackle we'll talk about. I don't want to spoil it right now. I will tease right now, though. I just don't want to spoil it. DeJuan Smoot, I'd let them all walk. I'd let DeJuan Smoot walk specifically here. Prediction, I think they do re-sign him, but you can't trust DeJuan Smoot to be your third pass rusher like they did on multiple occasions this year. Like, he's a fourth or fifth replacement level pass rusher. I'll keep saying it in my opinion. So, again, 1 year, $2.5 million, exact same as last time. I guess I'm okay with that. As long as you don't expect them to play overly high amount. Excuse me, high amount of snaps. So replacement level, but you can do worse, I guess. I have something in my throat. Anyway, Sledge, Reggie Gilliam. You know how much I love me some Sledge. Anyway, that's just a personal thing. Sledge, fallback, Reggie Gilliam, what do you want to call him? 28 years old, finally, someone who's not over 30. His previous AAV for a fullback was $2.3 million. Now, this and a couple like low-level free agent, like spot check salary projection, NA, which means not available. Well, obviously, you know that. NA, not available. Obviously, because fullbacks, like, there's no real projection. But what I want, bring him back, and predictably, like, I'm quite confident that Brandon Beane will bring him back. Again, this is another one where, like, I could see, like, him and Matt Collins, like, I don't think by the first week of March, announcement will be the re-sign to 1 year minimal type deals, like Matt Collins, 1 year, $4 million. Reggie Gilliam, I Sledge, like 2 years, 2 years, $4 million. I think 2.5 per year with some incentives is really, really good. So 2 years, $4 million with that. I think this is another one where like they won't even let them test the market, and I don't know what market per se would even be there. I love Sledge. Like, I know he hasn't physically touched the ball in like literally 3 years, but he is an integral part of this rushing attack and zone blocking team. He's an integral part of the special teams players. So four-phase special teams. If you don't know what that means the 4 main phases of special teams: kickoff, punt, kick return, punt return. And there's 4 players on this team that play like 4-phase special teams staples through and through, elite special team contributors: Cam Lewis, Jamarcus Ingram, Ty Johnson, and then Sledge, as we're talking about right now here currently. And then Matt Collins is becoming that, and he'll be back and continue to be that. So Sledge, I think he'll be back. Him and Matt Collins, like, I don't think they'll either one of them let them test the market. It's kind of hard to project a contract for a fullback that doesn't even physically touch the ball. But again, he's elite. He's a huge integral part in the tush pushes and huge integral part on our elite top 5 zone rushing offense, zone rushing attack with James Cook, Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, and design QB runs for, of course, the man himself, Josh Allen. So I think he resigns. Like, there's no way to let him even out of the building. This is a kind of interesting conversation. Ty Johnson, running back, 27 years old, so thank God he's not even close to 30 yet. He still has a few years to go. Previous AAV, again, this was just like the journey here has been really incredible for Ty Johnson, at least in terms of like Bill standards with the Buffalo Bills as a team and teammate, respectively. So he signed a 1 year, $1.3 million deal yet last March. But if you remember, right before the 2023 season, he gets cut by the Jets. He has no respect for them anymore because like they cut him right after he tore his pec and got surgery. So he feels like he got duped by them, which honestly he probably did. It's kind of disrespectful to him personally, but he signs in August of 2023 with the Buffalo Bills. Damian Harris goes down, who unfortunately got his career cut short because of a brutal neck injury. He's working for CBS and CBS.com and CBS Sports now, though, analyzing college football. It's awesome with his content, but now they signed Ty Johnson at practice squad, elevate him halfway through that year, and he's just been rock solid ever since for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, they clearly trust him. Like, I love James Cook, but like pass blocking, he gets ragdoll, and it's not part of the repertoire, if you will. He doesn't provide that for the team, so they trust him on the third down back, goal line back. He kind of provides everything: receiving ability, special teams ability, kick return ability in a pinch. He provides everything. He's a jack of all trades, you feel like. PUCAV, 1 year, $1.3 million deal contract. Spot check salary projection, $2.7 million. That's what I'm comfortable giving him. I'm comfortable giving him like a 2 year, $6 million deal. 2 years, $6 million with some incentive laden contract for both years, $3 million per year. 2 years, $6 million, obviously. I will say, though, I'm fearful he gets overpaid. So what I personally want to bring him back. But particularly, I think he goes out to the market and then leaves. I particularly think he leaves and get overpaid. If he, like, when I say overpaid, anything above $3 million a year. So if let's say he signs like the Cowboys to pair him with Rico Dowdle, the Bengals to pair him with Chase Brown. 2 running backs that I don't want to say unproven, but past this past year, they kind of are unproven. So say the Cowboys or Bengals respectively give him, like, again, give or take, ballpark, give him a 3 year, $15 million deal. That's $5 million a year. That's too much for me. That's too rich for me personally for a third down back in RB2, RB3, 2/3, at best in Buffalo. I think he wants to be in a 1A, 1B situation, and I think he's going to go out and get overpaid because of it, and then it's going to be one of these situations where, like, it's the overpaid looks like not warranted. So I want him back, but I think he goes somewhere else predictably just because of the overpaid element. Next, working through this, Quentin Jefferson, defensive tackle. This is what I was kind of foreshadowing, the other defensive tackles with Austin Johnson, the pass rusher with Devon Smoot, the other defensive tackle, Jordan Phillips, like 32 years old. Like nothing here intrigues me. I think Devon Smoot's okay if you want to bring him back, like I said. But previous AAV for Quentin Jefferson, $1.2 million. Spot check salary projection, $1.4 million. Again, like Phillips, who they'll love in big back, sadly. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. Austin Johnson, Devon Smoot, Quentin Jefferson. Like, even though these are really cheap contracts, like, especially with these defensive tackles, like, I don't want to bring them back for depth. They're not even depth level, in my opinion. What I want, let them walk. And I think prediction goes somewhere else. I think Brandon Beane, besides Sean McDermott and Bobby Babbitt and the defensive staff and free agent scouting department, respectively, will say, hey, like, we need to overhaul this room. But if we want to keep Jordan Phillips for continuity's sake, fine. Devon Smoot, fine. But like Austin Johnson and Quentin Jefferson, I don't want back, and I think they'll like see eye to eye and agree with me. Like that they'll let them walk as like washed up veterans. And then Reed Ferguson, long snapper. This is like whatever. He's the longest tenured Bill, like by like a year or two even. Like Matt Milano and Deion Dawkins, they're there, drafted in 2017. They're part of the OG group. But like Reed Ferguson is really part of the OG group. Like he was with Rex Ryan in 2016 and Anthony Lynn, interim head coach, when Rex Ryan was fired mid-season that year. Like he played with Tyrod Taylor. He played for Rex Ryan. So he's been around forever, it feels like, because he has. It's like 10 years in the league. So 31 years old, previous AAV, like 1.1 million. Okay, fine. It's a long snapper. Who cares? Spot check salary projection, obviously not available. What I want bring back predictably, I think he'll be back. There's no reason why you can't re-sign Reed Ferguson. Again, I don't even think they'll let him like test the market. It's a long snapper. What market are you testing, bud? Like I love you, but come on. So 1 year, 1 million. Fine, whatever. He'll be back. Tommy Doyle, offensive tackle. This is weird. I literally forgot this guy was even a part of a team. This looks like another burn of a draft pick, and he was a 4th round pick of 2021. So 2021 is a weird draft. They took 2 pass rushers in a row the first 2 rounds. First round, Greg Rousseau. Second round, Boogie Basham. Boogie Basham sucked. He just did. 3rd round, and then they took 2 offensive tackles in a row. So 3rd round, Spencer Brown, franchise right tackle now, but at the time, 4th round, Tommy Doyle, burn of a draft pick. And like top 150 picks, like those are some, you can find some hits and diamond into the rough. I mean, Khalil Shakir, 5th round pick. Christian Bedford, 6th round pick. DeMar Hamlin, 6th round pick. So, I mean, for sure you can find those contributor guys. Ray Davis, 4th round pick. I mean, the list goes on and on. So, previous AAV for Tommy Doyle, rookie scale, 4th round contract. He made $950,000 per year over 4 years. Like, guys, this is not a big deal at all. Like $950,000. Okay. He was injured this whole year. They placed him in the IR right before, a few weeks before the season started. That means he wasn't eligible to play or join the team or be in the practice squad even or anything. So he was just kind of floating out there whole year. Spot check salary projection. Obviously, no one really cares about him, so he doesn't have one. What I want, let him walk in prediction. I think he goes somewhere else. I don't think this even crosses the mind of Brandon Beane. Like, he got much bigger fish to fry, as they say, if you will. Like, and we have a pipeline of a couple undrafted / drafted offensive linemen with Alec Anderson, and then specifically at tackle with Ryan Vandermark and Tylen Grable, and they always seem to draft late round / undrafted guys that can contribute like as swing tackles or potential starters. So like I don't think Tommy Doyle is even crossing the mind of Brandon Beane. I even forgot about him until I literally had to look for this exercise. I was kind of surprised he was an unrestricted free agent, but again, I forgot about him, so I guess I'm not surprised. Last and final one, no order of importance, but this one's significant. DeMar Hamlin, safety, obviously still really young, 27 years old. His previous AAV, 6th round rookie scale contract over 4 years, $910,000. That's nothing compared to the rest of the NFL. Spot check salary projection, $3.1 million a year. I think that's even a couple million too low for DeMar Hamlin. I am scared that he's going to get overpaid by the Steelers. There's only 2 options here. Bills or Steelers. And I say specifically the Steelers because he's known Mike Tomlin since he was a little toddler, basically since he was 5 years old. He went to Pitt. They share a facility with the Steelers. He grew up in Pittsburgh, hometown hero, the whole stuff. Like, obviously, he's a Buffalo hero with the whole heart attack thing and the CPR. And, like, we'll never forget that. But what I want to bring him back. But predictively, I think he'll go to the Steelers because they need a safety pretty badly next to Minkah Fitzpatrick. Like, Deshaun Elliott, okay. Like, I'm fine with bringing DeMar Hamlin back. at like 2 years, $6 million, $3 million a year. But unfortunately, I just think it's like time to move on. They'll view him as like it's time to move on, and I think he'll like a guaranteed Pittsburgh Steeler. I mean, he stated before the season, I would love to play for Mike Tomlin. It's my dream to pay for Mike Tomlin. I think his Bills are Steelers. And unfortunately, I think he walks to the Steelers. DeMar Hamlin, I would classify him as sufficient, good enough level starter, but he's not athletic. He has good enough ball skills. I don't think they're great ball skills. He misses quite a few tackles, but again, I think he's a really awesome story. Obviously, and we'll never forget him, but I think he's destined to be a Pittsburgh Steeler in a month or so when free agency opens. Now, a couple restricted free agents that I want to talk about. Tight end Quentin Morris. By the way, a restricted free agent is so unrestricted free agent. They can talk with any team. They can sign up with any other team. And the Bills, for unrestricted free agent or any team for that matter, they don't have the opportunity to match it. Restricted free agent is they can test the market and sign an offer sheet. Offer sheet means, let's say Quentin Morris signs like a 1 year, $3 million, just example, give or take. 1 year, $3 million deal with another team. Because I do think Quentin Morris can be a lot of teams tight end 2 in this league. We just have the luxury of being him a huge special teams contributor, tight end 3 on this team. So let's say he signs a 1 year, $3 million offer sheet. The Bills have, 3 days, 72 hours to match the offer sheet. If they match it, he's back in the Bills. If they don't match it, he's off to that other team who signed him to that offer sheet. But I think he will be back because I think Bills love him on special teams. But again, I could see the Bills not matching it because someone views him as their tight end 2, and I would agree with that. I think it could be a lot of teams tight end 2 in this league. So that's just where my head's at with that. But he'll be back because of the restricted. This guy's guaranteed to be back. Offensive lineman Alec Anderson. By the way, Quentin Morris, only 26 years old. I forgot to mention that. And then Alec Anderson, only 25 years old. So Alec Anderson, he's a tier below restricted even. He's an exclusive rights free agent, which means basically you either play for the Bills or you're out of the league and don't play at all. Okay, you want to play football, so you're playing for the Bills. He's that jumbo tight end, 6 utility blocker. I mean, they bring him in a ton. Unsung hero. I literally gave him the Unsung Hero award on my season review show last week. But yeah, Alec Anderson, I think he'll be back. And if you want to cut David Edwards, because there's some pretty sizable cap savings there. I think if they cut him, they save $4 million with only a $750,000 ballpark, give or take, dead cap hit around there. So I think there's some legit conversations to have. Do you cut David Edwards and bring Alec Anderson up that starting left guard spot? So he'll be back just because he's exclusive rights free agent. Again, it's either don't play football in the league at all or play with the Bills. Okay, you're back at the Bills. Lovely. He can play center, guard, utility blocker. He's truly is an unsung hero of this team. So Quentin Morris, I think he'll be back, but I could see some team signing him to a pretty sizable offer sheet and the Bills not matching because the other team views him as a legit tight end too, which I'm happy for the opportunity for him. He obviously doesn't have the opportunity on this Bills team, but you never know. And then Alec Anderson, he's 100% back. Now I'm going to do a little fun exercise of going 1 to 6 priority of free agents I want back in 2025. So 12, I'm not counting the restricted free agent Quentin Morris and the exclusive rights free agent and Alec Anderson. Those dynamics, they're pretty sure back. Anderson's guaranteed back. We'll see. More than likely in Morris, but we'll see. There were 12 unrestricted free agents, and only 6 of them I said in my little blurb, what I want in my explanation. Only 6 of them I said bring them back. So 1 to 6, here we go. Here's my priority of what I want him back. Number 1, safety DeMar Hamlin. If you want to hear my breakdowns, by the way, and all these specific players, rewind the episode, or if you're on YouTube, watch it back. If you're on audio, rewind the episode on the audio side. 1, DeMar Hamlin. 2, this sounds ridiculous. Not ridiculous at first glance. This might sound 2 and 3. I have Matt Collins number 2 and Amari Cooper at number 3. I just think Matt Collins is easily more of a red zone threat, and I don't think they'd let him touch the market and test it. 4, running back Ty Johnson. More of the story there is in my explanation. I would love to have him back, but I'm pretty confident that he'll get overpaid, so I'm out on that market. 5, Sledge at fullback, and 6, long snapper Reed Ferguson. There's 3 players who I don't think they'll even let touch free agency: Matt Collins, Sledge, Reed Ferguson, especially Ferguson, by the first week of March, they'll be all back. So there's my priority. Anyways, guys, this was a really fun episode to kick off our 2025 offseason Buffalo Bills offseason content here on Around the Slice. This has been awesome. I mean, I said it last week, but I love in-season content, but previews and recaps and whatnot. And thank you guys for following along. I appreciate it so much, more than you know. But anyway, moral of the story is I love team building. I love roster construction. I love consulting Spot Track to see what contracts these guys are projected to get, what contracts I would give them. And that's exactly what we did today. Projected contracts, who I'd bring back, who I would not bring back, all those fun logistics and dynamics with that. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this ride too. You can follow me personally on Twitter at A113. I'll be initial reactions all throughout free agency for every single team in the NFL. It's my absolute favorite time of the year. You can follow the show on Twitter at Around Slice. You can, of course, watch or listen to this podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And please help me get to 50 subscribers throughout this offseason. 50. We're trying to reach that milestone. I know we can do it. You guys are awesome fans, and I really do appreciate that, whether you're on the audio side, YouTube side, or both, honestly. If you're committed to both, that's awesome too. But by no means, am I begging, but it would be awesome 50 subscribers. Anyways, guys, on Friday, I was going to leave this surprise, but since you guys are dedicated to this podcast, I want to give you a quick tease. On Friday, let's see what's the date. On Friday, February 14th, we're going to go through my offensive free agent targets, the Buffalo Bills. We're going to get in some legit high-level names that the Buffalo Bills need to sign. And then next Monday. So this Friday, February 10th, offensive free agent targets for the Buffalo Bills in this offseason. Next month or so. And then I'm so confused. Friday, February 4th, I got the date wrong. Friday, February 14th, offensive free agent targets for the Buffalo Bills this offseason, next month or so. And then Monday, February 17th, defensive free agent targets for the Buffalo Bills. And of course, we have quick reaction pods, instant reaction pods this entire offseason, March and April, and draft and stuff. Anyways, guys, I'll see you guys next time. This was so fun. Kicking off offseason content. Thank you so much for the support as always. I see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.